The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. We are live, guys. We are live once again, reported to you live and direct from Takamasu, Kagawa, Japan, Prefecture. If you don't know, we're here and making a little bit of history today. Today is the first time I've ever done one of these Aftermath lives in Japan. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've ever gone live on StreamYard in Japan. So, first time for everything. But a lot to talk about from yesterday in boxing. A lot of things to break down. A lot of things to discuss while I walk around and enjoy Japan some more. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you're tuning in. Make sure you guys go vote on the poll. I put up a poll in the community posts, asking people who do you think had the best performance yesterday between Hitchens and Navarrete and all them guys and Espinoza. So go vote on that, and leave it. Let your thoughts be known. I want to hear from you guys. Let's get into it. We'll get into the fights in a second, but I want to go ahead and acknowledge the people that are already here, that are already commenting. So shout out to my man David Esther. He says, salute to you, VT. Salute to you, Chip. Good to see you in the chat. Jesus M says, saludos. Hockey out there in Malaysia says, hi, BT. Good to see you. Good to see you too, Hockey. And then Jesus M says, quit is harsh on Robeisy. Orbital bones can end careers. Well, no, it's not. I don't want to say it's not harsh. It is harsh because who am I to tell Robeisy, certain things about boxing? The guy's a gold medalist. Guy's been a world champion. But at the same time, I don't think – see, this is why I have a problem with some fighters in boxing, because I don't think people quite count the cost of what it really takes to be great in boxing. They just think being great in boxing just takes skills. It takes, having a good jab, footwork, punching power, hand speed. Absolutely not. Being great in boxing entails a lot. It can even entail as much as your own damn life if you truly want to be great. And you see, adversity introduces a man to himself. And part of the sport, and it may sound barbaric, but like Chris Eubank Sr. even said it, it's like fighters can't be normal. If they want to achieve greatness, they have to be willing to go above and beyond the call of duty. And what going above and beyond the call of duty looks like, sometimes it takes for you to go through things like Timothy Bradley did against Ruslan Provodnikov when he couldn't see out of his own damn eyes. Now, it sounds harsh, but yes, he quit. I hate to say it. When the going got tough enough for him, he looked for a way out, and God willing, good for him. It's good for his health, but it's bad for his legacy. That's just the truth, I know it's harsh, but it's a harsh game. It's a harsh sport. Y'all think it's all peaches and roses in the ring? No. That's why there's only a few great fighters. That's why there's only a few great ones like Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns and Arturo and Mickey Ward and these guys. That's why they get remembered. You don't get remembered and you don't achieve greatness in boxing because you picked the right thing for your health. You picked boxing. You literally picked the most dangerous sport out of all of them. So you already picked a sport that was the worst in the world for your health. After that, you can't be talking about I did it. I'm happy with my decision. So you happy you quit? Come on. Be happy with your decision. But when people start he has to live with that for the rest of his life. When people bring up Robeisy Ramirez and they bring up his career, they're not gonna remember. A lot of times, people have short memories, and it's like movies and TV shows and books. Oftentimes, you don't remember the beginning, you don't remember the middle, but you damn sure remember the end. You remember the end. And what they're going to remember about Robeisy Ramirez is that in the biggest fight of his career, the rematch, when Espinoza punched him dead in his shit and really asked him those tough questions, he quit. And that's what it is. It doesn't mean he's not a good fighter. Doesn't take away from the fact that he won 2 gold medals and was a world champion and did some great things in his career. But in that particular fight, on that particular night, he looked for a way out. And looking for a way out is a nice way of saying you quit. And that's just the truth. And I like him. I like Robeisy. I'm not getting any joy in saying this. I'm not. I wish him the best in his life and his career, but that's what most people are going to remember him for. That's just the truth. David S. says, I'm not defending Robeisy Ramirez quitting, but people forget that when Israel Vasquez fought Rafael Marquez, he packed it in the first fight because of a nose injury affecting his breathing. You're right. People do forget things. But the thing is, Robeisy's probably not going to fight much longer. They fought 2 or 3 more times and had classic fights. This is probably going to be one of, if not the last fight at the top level for Robeisy Ramirez. So that's going to be one of the lasting images of his career. He's going to have to do a lot to overcome that. So, I wish him the best. But he quit. RIP to him. I'm not trying to down Vasquez, but he definitely redeemed himself in the latter fight. He did. And you know what? And that's why he on that night, he packed it in. He didn't go above and beyond the call of duty. He did what Robeisy did against Espinoza in the rematch. But he came back in the other fights, and that's why Vasquez is getting Hall of Fame consideration, because he showed character of the highest level to come back from such a terrible defeat. So I'm not saying it's over for Robeisy, but what I am saying at this moment in time, if he were to stop boxing, that's going to be one of the lasting images, was that he quit against Espinoza in the rematch. And I'm not moving off that. Fantastic fighter, respect to him, but he quit. Inoue is really a monster compared to Robeisy. He is fighting with broken orbital bone. Yeah, look, Inoue, great fighter, one of the best in the world. Donaire broke his freaking orbital bone with the left hook. And did he say, I have to make this decision on having my decision to quit? No, he didn't say that. He made an adjustment. He remained calm under pressure, and he was. I think he said in an interview in Japanese, he said that he was seeing like 3 donaires, so he had to cover his eyeball to see the one donaire and hit him. And that's why Inoue is who he is, and that's why Robeisy Ramirez is a good fighter, very good. A lot of fighters love to have Robeisy Ramirez's career, but he's not going to achieve greatness at the highest level. So, hey, it is what it is. Not every fighter is meant to be great. That's just the truth. Because greatness entails a lot. It entails skills. It entails the highest application to the sport of boxing. It entails quite possibly your life. And I don't think fighters really count the cost. I don't. I really don't think most fighters in boxing don't count the full cost of what it takes to be great in the sport. And I know it's easy for me to say, I'm playing armchair quarterback. I'm the guy at the YouTube channel who's not fighting. I get it. But I'm not the whole. I didn't choose to be a boxer because I know exactly what it entails. It could entail your life. So I count the cost. That's all I'm saying. But nonetheless, I don't want to get distracted with the comments. Shout out to all 20 of you here. Make sure you smash that like button. Definitely take the time to subscribe and super chat, all that stuff. If y'all want to support the channel besides super chat, you can Cash App, money sign, just a kid from Dania. That's how you can get me on the Cash App. I ain't begging, but it's there, because sometimes YouTube, they take a percentage. Not sometimes, all the time. Every super chat, I think they take like 30 or 40%. So if you want to support, there's the Cash App, and then there's the PayPal, True School Sports 2012@gmail.com. Got some great things coming up for you guys from Japan. I still got to edit this one interview I did with Seigo Yuriakui, so that should be out in the coming days. But yeah, everything's going good. But anyway, let me go ahead and get into my talking points. I got talking points. I gotta order these things. But Rafael Espinoza, let's start with him. Because this man, it may not look pretty, it may not win style points, but this man is a different type of featherweight. I'm not sure how much longer he's gonna make featherweight, because when he rehydrated, he was like 144.7. He was a welterweight when he fought Robeisy Ramirez. But for the time being, however long he's here, we gotta enjoy him, because he's different. You may have the boxing skills to bank some early rounds against him. I thought Robeisy was actually beating him before the stoppage. I thought Robeisy was putting some early rounds in the bank. I thought Robeisy had the right game plan as far as moving and pot shotting and counter punching. But Robeisy just didn't have the durability, and he didn't have it within his soul for this particular night, because he knew based on the first fight, and what he went through in the back half of that first fight, he knew what it was going to cost him from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint, and even possibly from a spiritual standpoint, to go to those depths and beat Espinoza. And when Espinoza started putting that pressure on him, he wasn't ready for it. And to be fair to Robeisy, and this is why I'm going to be fair and honest, I'm going to say like 98% of the featherweights in the division will not be able to deal with the type of pressure of Espinoza. And it's not even so much the pressure. It's more so that, yeah, you may hit him, and his defense is very leaky, But when he hits you, when Espinoza hits you, it starts putting them dense ass bones across your face. You're gonna have to deal with that for 12 rounds, and it's not gonna stop. It's gonna keep coming over and over and over again, and it takes a special type of person to deal with that. It takes a special type of person to handle, you know, that type of pressure, that type of bone density being upside your head for 12 rounds. And it's only a couple of guys that I think could even have a chance to take that for 12 rounds. So yeah, he's flawed. Yes, I still stand on what I'm saying. I still think he'll be here for a good time, not a long time. But for while he's here, he's gonna be one tough out. And whoever does beat Espinoza is gonna have to really earn it. No freebies with Espinoza. I'll tell you that right now. If you're gonna beat him, you're gonna lose a piece or pieces of yourself in order to have to do it, because you can't simulate a 6'1" featherweight with that kind of bone density in his hands. You can't. Sorry, you can get as much sparring as you want, but you're not gonna get that kind of simulation of him, you know, in the gym. So that's my first talking point. I kind of touched on the second talking point already, or when you guys talking about Robeisy, like, he chose self-preservation, which is good for his health, but it's terrible for his boxing legacy. Maybe it's not over. We'll see. You know, Robeisy's gone through a lot in his career, a lot in his life. He's overcome a lot, so maybe he'll overcome this. And I'll tell you right now, if Robeisy can come back, I'm not saying he's gonna fight Espinoza again and beat him, because I think that ship has sailed. But let's just say if he can come back and let's say he beats another top featherweight and becomes champion after this, then that's still greatness. He can still achieve greatness. It's just gonna it just wasn't on that night. So for the time being, yes, if he hung up the gloves today, that decision hurts his legacy, but it's good for his health. So I mean, I guess God bless him. But let me see. We got some more comments here. Rocky Austin says Espinoza will move to 130 next, as reported by reliable sources. That's what we were hearing going into the fight. But when they interviewed him in the post-fight interview, he didn't say that himself. Like, he didn't say to Top Rank in the post-fight interview, "Hey, let's go to 130." He said, "I'll fight anyone." So, you know, he was very vague. And until I actually hear the not a rumor, and I don't want to just hear Top Rank executives talking about it, but until I hear from Espinoza or someone in his team themselves that he is moving up to 130, I'm still going to look at him as a featherweight. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. I didn't take any note of them, but I did watch my man Sam Noakes fight. He looked good. Yeah, I heard he won. I didn't get a chance to watch him, but I heard he won. I know Denzel Bentley won on that card as well. So shout out to Sam Noakes. You've been high on Sam Noakes for a long time, David. So hopefully he keeps doing his thing. DJ Rush said, "I'm not too sold on Richard Torres Jr. He hasn't even faced a Jared Anderson opponent yet. I want him to see him get tested, not just his abilities, but his boxing IQ. How can he adjust to adversity?" Yeah, Torres, they're moving him along very slowly. I think in 2025, you could probably expect Torres to take baby steps up in competition and maybe finally get his first headlining show in 2025. I give Richard Torres a slightly better chance than Anderson of becoming something in boxing, because unlike Jared Anderson, I think he's got higher character. I think he actually likes boxing, which always helps. And I think he's got a much better gas tank. And he's probably a little physically stronger. So those things bode well for him. But I'm not really the highest on Torres either. But he's a good little fighter. We'll see what happens in 2025. Robeisy just quit. Fool of the Took. I don't know what that means. But anyway, sticking with featherweight talk. I want to talk about this. This is really what I wanted to camp out on with you guys, because, you know, they're saying he's going to 130, but I've only heard from Top Rank. You know, I haven't heard it from Espinoza. I know his manager Roberto. I ain't heard it from him. So until I hear from Espinoza or Manny Robles or his manager Roberto, I'm gonna still consider him a featherweight. And if he's gonna still be considered a featherweight, then you guys see it right there. That's the fight I want. I want Angelo Leo versus Espinoza. A lot of people on a daily basis, not a weekly basis, not a monthly basis, a daily basis on YouTube, on Instagram, and all social media platforms where I talk boxing, they run their mouths to me about how Espinoza would do this and do that to Angelo Leo, and I don't believe them. I think they're liars. I'm not buying the hype. I like Espinoza. He's a good fighter, but I'm not buying it. It's all well and good. He proved me wrong in the rematch to beat Robeisy Ramirez, who moves around and counter punches and pot shots and does those kind of things. But I'm gonna tell you right now, he fighting Angelo Leo, he's not gonna be counter punching, or he's not gonna be pot shotting and moving around for 12 rounds. He's gonna be digging his freaking left hook into the liver. He's gonna be throwing punches to hurt him, punches through the target. So it's a much different type of a fight than Robeisy Ramirez. And if you just look at, and this is just facts, like just boxing facts. If you look at his last 3 fights, Espinoza, the 2 against Robeisy, and then the 1 against Sergio Chirino Sanchez, both those opponents have 2 things in common. Number 1, they're both finesse boxers. They like to throw punches to score points, and they don't really look to hurt their opponents. And then on top of that, because Robeisy quit, now you could say that Robeisy and Sergio Chirino Sanchez both have that in common. They both, because Sergio Chirino Sanchez, before he fought Espinoza, a couple years before he fought Espinoza, he fought Bronco Lara, and he was boxing well, just like Robeisy was, and he quit in that fight. So that's the reality. He's fought a bunch of guys that aren't really punching like that are finesse boxers who look for a way out, and that's just not who Angelo Leo is. That's not who he'll ever be. Angelo Leo has never been dropped. He's never been stopped in none of his fights. He's probably one of the more durable featherweights in the division. So how could you, as a boxing fan, how could you be against this fight? It's a unification fight. It's a chance for the 2 guys in the division to prove who's who. I personally think that we'll see. I think this is the number 1, in my opinion, right now, because Figueroa and Fulton got a fight, and I still kind of look at, even though they gave the WBC title to Figueroa, he hasn't really legitimately proven himself as a WBC champion. So I still consider, until we get an outcome on the Fulton Figueroa rematch, I still look at that fight as a fight for the vacant belt. So really, in my mind, the only champions in the division are Ball, Espinoza, and Angelo. And I think Angelo versus Espinoza at this moment in time, on this fine day of, what was it, December 9th in Japan, December 8th in the States, I think Angelo versus Espinoza is number 1 versus number 2. That's what I believe, and I like to see it. Obviously, there's things to worry about Espinoza. You have to be defensively sound against him. There's a lot of things you have to do to beat him. He's not an easy out for anybody, but neither is Angelo Leo. Angelo Leo, I keep saying this, I'll keep saying it until people really get it through their thick skulls. The fighter that people want to judge him for being at 122 is not the fighter he has a featherweight at 126. He has a 75% knockout ratio as a featherweight, including the knockout of the year this year in 2024 against Rafael Lopez. So I just think it'd be a great fight. I think you could put that fight in a Las Vegas. I think it would do great numbers. Put it somewhere like, I don't know. Where did Espinoza fight last? He fought at the Fountain Blue. You could put it at the Fountain Blue. I think it would sell a lot of tickets. I think it would be a very, very exciting fight. I think a lot of people from Mexico would come up. I think a lot of people from Albuquerque would come out. And it would just be, to me, it would be one of the better events that Vegas will have in 2025. So hopefully that if Espinoza isn't going at 130 like people say they are, because they've been saying that since before the fight, Top Rank, if he stays at 126 even for one more fight, I feel like this should be the fight. Obviously, Angelo has a reported title defense that hasn't been confirmed by Top Rank. It's supposed to be here in Japan. We'll see. He has to take care of that. But if he can take care of that, I say May or June, this is the fight that should happen. What do you guys think? Will you cover the 3-fight plan that Inoue's manager Ohashi has from next year, BT? Yes, just not right now, because we'll get to it in a second. Do you think Hackett got robbed, like some people say? I'll say that for later on, but to answer your question, I didn't watch that fight. I've only seen a couple rounds, but I have an answer to that later on in the live, so just stay tuned for that. All right. So, yeah, I just think, getting back to what I was saying, I think Angelo versus Espinoza is the fight. I don't want to get into, like, how I think it'll play out because I don't want to give away anything because you never know who's watching these videos, but I definitely think it's a great fight that they should look into making if he stays at 126 for one more fight. So, yep. So, we'll get to Hitchens in a second, or Valdez. No, we'll stay on schedule. We'll stay on schedule, all right? We won't go to Matchroom and DAZN just yet. Let's go to the top rank card. Oscar Valdez. Let's start with him because he got his ass absolutely waxed by Vaquero Navarrete. He got stopped in 6 rounds, got dropped multiple times before getting hurt with a liver shot that ultimately put him out. And, I give Oscar his credit. He's one of these guys. He never makes excuses when he loses. He's honorable in victory, and he's honorable in defeat. He's never really ducked competition. He's always been looking to fight the best people, and I respect him. And I think he gave everything he possibly could have against Navarrete. Whatever was left, he gave it. And it wasn't good enough, which is fine. But, I can always respect Oscar Valdez because I never felt cheated when he fought. I never felt cheated when he was in any fight. Obviously, funny enough, people are going to say, well, he did cheat BT. He took fentanyl and all that stuff. So, he did test positive that one time. But I'm saying, as far as his actual effort, because there's a lot of guys in boxing who talk a big game as far as what they're going to do, and they don't even give, I can't even say they give a half-ass effort. Oscar always gave his best effort, and it wasn't good on this night. But the wars have taken their toll. All these wars over the years against Scott Quigg, Genny Gradovich, Berchelt, Navarrete twice, they've all taken the toll on Valdez. I think that should be it for him. He has nothing to prove. He is a solidified Mexican warrior, 12 world title appearances, multiple-time world champion. He will always have his place in boxing. The only fight, there's only one fight I think Oscar Valdez should stay for in boxing, and that's maybe Venado Lopez, because Venado Lopez, he don't got much left either. He got whooped badly. He had a brain bleed after the Angelo fight, and he's gonna fight at 130 supposedly. So he might only have one more fight left to give himself, one or two at the best to give himself. Top Rank was talking about that fight before Angelo knocked out Venado, and I vividly remember being at the hotel, seeing Oscar Valdez the night before Angelo versus Venado, and I had a whole 10-minute conversation with him, and he was talking to me about that fight. So I think that's a fight that that's probably the last one if he's gonna keep fighting. But if it's not Venado Lopez, then I think that has to be it. The wars are piled up, and I think Oscar Valdez has a lot of value to give to boxing as far as a mentor, maybe a trainer, a commentator. There's a lot, man. He's a stand-up guy. He's a good dude, and I just think that should be the end of the road for him. Sometimes, as fans, we shouldn't say that fighter should retire because who are we? But that has to be it. He's been in some real wars, and I hate to see him continue to get beat up like that. So the only way I think it makes sense is if he fights somebody else who's ready to go out the door soon. That's Venado Lopez. But staying on track with that fight, staying on track with the Top Rank card, Vaquero, Navarrete, he continues to cement himself as one of the best fighters of his era from Mexico. And I think Navarrete, 135, he tried it. It didn't work with Baranchik. He lost to Baranchik. It was a very tricky, ugly fight. He didn't really look good as far as, not his physique, but just his condition. It didn't look good. It didn't look like the same high volume pressure fighter we're accustomed to seeing at 135. So I think for as long as he can, he should try to make 130 because this weight class, I think, is his division. He's the best right now until people otherwise. He's the best 130 pounder in the world. And the fight that has to get made next, I think, as far as unifications are concerned, is him versus O'Shaquie Foster. O'Shaquie Foster is a legitimate champion. O'Shaquie Foster has won the belt, lost it, and regained it back. And I think O'Shaquie Foster, his career needs a big fight, a notable name. And Navarrete checks those boxes, and I think it'd be a good fight. It's always an interesting occasion when you have slick Black American fighter versus the gunslinging, come forward Mexican pressure fighter. Those are always fun matchups. So this division, 130 is in a weird place because you got Anthony Kakachi, who's supposed to fight Sugar Nunez next. You got Lamont Roach, who's not even fighting in the division. He's taking a cash out fight at 135 against Tank. He's probably gonna get knocked out. And then Navarrete's in a fight. Well, Navarrete and O'Shaquie Foster are pretty much freed up. So unless they're gonna do some sort of mandatory fights, I know Top Ranks are trying to get Charlie Suarez and Andres Cortez title shots. Unless those are fights for either one of them next, I don't see what would hold up a unification fight. Unification is very much needed in this division, and I think both guys are in need of a big fight. Not so much Navarrete, but more so O'Shaquie, because O'Shaquie, he's had some really fun fights, some good fights, some notable fights, but he hasn't really had big fight. And I think he's done enough in boxing coming where he came from, because he lost some fights early in his career, was in and out of jail. The odds were really stacked against him early in his career to even become champion, let alone get to where he's got to now, being a two-time champion. So I think he's earned his stripes. I think it's time to give O'Shaquie Foster the big fight he's looking for, and the chance to prove just how good he is. And I like that fight at 130 a lot. So what do you guys think? My man Rocky says, I think Navarrete versus the number one contender, Charlie Suarez. Suarez is a good fight. Suarez, high volume person, high volume guy, big puncher. Philippines versus Mexico. We've seen a lot of those over the years. So why not? Charlie Suarez is another guy that I think has been earning his stripes at 130. Like, it's crazy. At 130, there's a lot of guys who are earning their stripes and showing and proving, but they're not really getting the title shots. He's one of them, like him, Otaro Renosian, like a lot of guys. So that's an option. Tarzan wants to know, is Angelo going to Japan for Kameda? That's what the reports are saying, but there's been no official announcement. So I'm waiting for the official announcement, because, I'm gonna have, if that does play out for when they're saying, I'll be back here. So we'll see. Navarrete might do shock Foster bad. Maybe he will, but I want to see it. I want to see unification fights. I want to see O'Shaquie Foster in a big fight against an A-level opponent, and because who knows, he might rise to the occasion. We don't know till we see. BT, what do you think will turn out to be harder to fight for Navarrete, Baranchik or Foster? That is if Navarrete fights him. Baranchik. I think Baranchik's because Baranchik's a little bigger, a little stronger at the weight. Very, very, very awkward. Very awkward. So I'll say Baranchik slightly. But O'Shaquie Foster's still a very, very tough fight. And yes, Lamont Roach is getting cashed out. I'm tired of everyone trying to tell me how good of a fight this is. No, it's not. I like Lamont Roach. I hope he does well. I hope I'm wrong, but you can't take chicken shit and call it chicken salad. It's not a good fight. But yeah, anyway, that's my take on the Top Rank card. Pretty much. If y'all got anything y'all else want to chime in with Top Rank and Foster and Navarrete and Valdez and Robeisy and Espinoza and Angelo, continue to leave your comments. We're like almost half an hour in, so make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, super chat, all that good stuff. This is the aftermath of Espinoza, the aftermath of Valdez, and it's also the aftermath of Hitchens, which is our next subject. So let's talk about Richardson Hitchins, because a lot of you guys are asking me about Richardson Hitchins. What did I think about Hitchens versus Paro? Now I'm gonna raise my hand, all right? Because I'm humble. I have my fun when I get it right, but I also am humble when I lose. I did not think Hitchens was gonna beat Paro. I thought Paro was a little smarter than he showed in this fight, and Hitchens proved me wrong, and he proved a lot of people wrong, and he boxed the living shit out of Liam Paro. He outclassed him. He outboxed him. He exposed Liam Paro. I can't yell out exposed because I'm in a public area. I don't want to cause a scene here in Japan, but exposed Liam Paro. And funny enough, like just listening to going back and listening to Hitchens in the build-up, it's crazy what this power of self-belief can do for not just a fighter, but anybody in life. It's done a lot for me in my life. Look at me, I'm in Japan. Never thought I'd be here twice. But Hitchens was a lot. Hitchens, I respect his career so much because he has a very similar career path to my good buddy Angelo Leo. And you may say, well, BT, how the hell are Angelo Leo and Richardson Hitchens, how did they have a similar career? I'm going to tell you how they had a similar career. Richardson Hitchens, just like Angelo, was a Mayweather Promotions fighter. He got dropped by Mayweather Promotions. He was pretty much left out on the street to do nothing in his career. And Richardson Hitchens, his career stagnated for a while. And he had to take some, fights in his career that weren't going to do a whole lot moving forward for him. And Hitchens, just slowly but surely over the years, he continued to believe in himself. he talked in a way that was super, super delusional to most people, but definitely not to himself. He didn't listen to the outside noise. And he kept working on his craft and perfecting that jab of his. And look what it's got to him. It's gotten him to a world title. He's been in some good fights along the way. There's obviously criticism of his career, like he didn't fight Super Matias. He waited for Paro to do his dirty work and then fought Paro because Paro was a more favorable style matchup. But that's in my opinion. Maybe Hitchens said what he said in the media, but really the brain trust behind that is more so his manager, Keith Conley. Keith Conley has been in boxing for a long time. He understands style. He's one of the best managers in boxing. He probably told Hitchens to not fight Matias because it would be a tough fight for him. But either way, he cut it up, slice it, and dice it. The end result is this. Richardson Hitchens joins the likes of Riddick Bowe, Zab Judah, Shannon Briggs, Mike Tyson, many others as world champions from the borough of Brooklyn, New York. No matter what happens from this point forward in the career of Hitchens, he could get knocked out his next fight. He could be a dominant champion. Doesn't matter. For the rest of the time, they'll have to refer to Hitchens as champion. And I thought he looked good against Paro. I thought, like I said in my post-fight review video, I thought Liam Paro struggled to make adjustments. I thought Hitchens' corner was the difference in the fight. Hitchens executed, but it was the corner. Lenny Wilson, his trainer from when he was a kid, him, everyone involved in his corner, they deserve a whole lot of credit because he looked really, early in the fight, Paro was doing a good job jabbing over the top of his jab, breaking his rhythm with the foot feints, like doing a lot of really good things in there. It looked like he was banking some of the early rounds, which I didn't think was going to happen. But it was like in the fourth or fifth round where Lenny Wilson kind of just told Hitchens, like, what the fuck are you doing? Start putting your punches together. Start getting things in order. And he listened to his corner, and he started throwing that right hand with some oomph behind it, with some, like, bad intention behind it. And once he found a home for the right hand, that was a wrap. Paro couldn't make an adjustment to save his life. Paro couldn't do nothing with Hitchens. Hitchens, I scored the fight 9 rounds to 3, 117-111. And the one judge that had it 117-111 for Paro, that's one of the worst scorecards I've seen all year. I mean, I've seen some pretty terrible scorecards, but that's up there because this was not a hard fight to score. There was not a ton of swing rounds. The rounds that Hitchens won were won very, very cleanly, honestly. And then even you could probably say one of those three rounds, like either Paro, I know at least one of them was a swing round, so he could legitimately won 10 rounds of this fight easily. But I gave him 9. So yeah, shout out to him. He believed in himself. A lot of us didn't believe in him coming off that Lemos fight. I damn sure, like, I knew he could outbox Paro because I didn't think Paro was like this A-class world beater fighter, but I just thought the rehydration clause was gonna play a bigger factor than it did, and it did not. Paro could not push the pace on him. He couldn't get he couldn't get on the inside. He couldn't counter punch. Couldn't do nothing, and that's all down to Hitchens. And I think that precise right hand he was landing, and then using the jab consistently throughout the fight and fighting his fight, beautiful performance from Hitchens. And he's now in position for some big fights. You got Teofimo Lopez, who's a champion in the division, who we called out, which we'll get to. We got Devin Haney. But yeah, let's get to that because Hitchens did call out Teofimo, and I want to touch on this because I think, for my money, Hitchens versus Teofimo is the fight to make in the division. Teofimo Lopez is really from South Florida, but he want to claim New York because he spent like 5 minutes there when he was a kid. So since he's from New York, right? Since he's from New York, he should go fight Hitchens. He should go fight Hitchens in a unification fight because that's a good fight. It's a good fight. I'm sure it'll sell tickets in New York because Teo can sell enough tickets. Hitchens can sell enough tickets, and they can do it not at the big arena. It's not like a Madison Square Garden arena type fight, but it's a Madison Square Garden theater type fight. I think they can sell 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 tickets, whatever it is. Do a good crowd, be a good fight, and start sorting out who's who at 140. Teofimo Lopez has spoken a lot about fighting Devin Haney, right? And I feel like this fight for him, if he was to take it, it would be really good preparation for a Devin Haney fight. Hitchens has a very similar style to Devin Haney, very similar. I even went as far as saying that Devin Haney is just Richardson Hitchens with more marketing and more hype behind them because they damn near fight the same. Very, 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 very similar styles. So if you want to fight Devin Haney, you should be willing to fight Richardson Hitchens because they have very similar styles, very similar tendencies, and I think it would help him going forward in his career. And for Hitchens, I think as much as people don't want to hear me say this, I think Hitchens has earned himself a big fight. You got to give it to the kid. You may not like him. You may not like how he talks. You may think he's delusional. You may think he's boring. You may think he sucks because you might hate watching him. But he has like gone through the politics of boxing, like with the other promotions, getting rid of him, not being able to get fights, then like taking on these good veteran fighters like Argenis Mendez and Yomar Alamo, who's an Olympian, and Jose Zepeda. I mean, he's got a good resume. For somebody who hasn't had like the most money and investment in his career behind him, he's got a pretty damn good resume. And then when it came time to shine against Paro, he did. So I think he's earned himself a big fight with Teofimo Lopez. And I'll tell you this, if he can't get the Teofimo fight, then I'll tell you one fight he can get. He can go get the fight that he should have fought for the title. He can go fight Subriel Matias because Subriel Matias has called him out. He congratulated him on the victory, and he said on Instagram, "Congratulations, Hitchens. I will see you soon." I would still like to see Hitchens versus Subriel Matias. That fight has a story behind it. And I think he fought in Puerto Rico once, right, against Paro. So the Puerto Rican people know who he is. Maybe they can go fight in New York. I think now that fight in New York, I think will do good business because Matias is Puerto Rican. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans in New York, of course. Hitchens is from Brooklyn. I think either one of the two fights, Hitchens versus Teo or Hitchens versus Matias, I think are great fights. The Matias fight I would like to see because if he's able to beat him, because of like boxing fans have a lot of memory. Yeah, you beat the guy that beat Matias, but you didn't beat Matias. So you don't get credit for that. You need to beat Matias. And Matias has had a fight since he lost to Paro. He got back in the win column. And Eddie Hearn, even before this fight, was already talking about exploring the opportunity of working with him again. So why not? Why not do that fight? You beat if Hitchens is like that, which he is. When Hitchens, I'll tell you right now, when Hitchens throws that straight right hand and it's landing, and then he's got that jab, that world-class jab going, he's an extremely tough out because he'll slow the pace down. He'll be very accurate. He'll fight within himself. Like he's not gonna go give you what you want. He's gonna do what he wants. That's who he is. So if you're expecting him to be like this big fight of the year candidate, you'll probably never get that from him. But very smart boxer and a very tough out. So yeah. Let me see. Did you rewatch the fight to see if Robeisy got hit with an elbow? No, I haven't. I actually no, I did yesterday. I looked through the tape. There were a couple like close calls, but nothing that egregious, nothing that crazy, Yeah, and one thing about Hitchens, I think one thing he's got going for him that Devin Haney doesn't is, like you said, durability. I think he's probably he is a more durable fighter than Devin Haney because he's been hit by some punches. He's been hit by Argenis Mendez. He's been hit by Gustavo Lemos when he was weight trained and didn't go down. So you got to give that to him. Let me see what else. I got a lot of comments I didn't even see. Are you going to any of these Japan events in December? It's not official yet, but I'm pretty locked in on the Inoue fight. That's probably the one I'm gonna be at. God willing. If not, I got hella interviews coming up, so I'm good either way. But probably Inoue Goodman. How is Japan, BT? Do you recommend going? I would recommend Japan to anybody. Japan is. I haven't done too much international traveling, so I don't have many like other countries to compare it to. I've only been to like UK and Nicaragua as other countries to compare it to, but Japan is an amazing country with so much to do, so much history, so much culture, so much. Like I've been here. Obviously, I was here last time, 3.5 weeks. I've already been here a month. I'm gonna be here like another month longer. By the time you add up all the time I've spent here between last year and this year, it'll probably be like almost 4 months of my life. I've been in Japan collectively, by the time this is all done with last year, almost 4 months. And I still haven't even done everything I've wanted to do in 4 months. So you'll never run out of things to do. It's a beautiful country with a lot to see, and I'd recommend it to anybody. Paro was tailor made for Hitchens. I would have been impressed if he would have KO'd Paro. Yeah, that would have been impressive. BT, where's Pops in North Carolina, where he lives? Let me see. Shout out to everybody. Thank you guys for all the comments. There's so many of them. Would you say Ramirez and Haney is damaged goods? Jose Ramirez, like the 140 pounder. If you're referring to Jose Ramirez, that would be like ridiculous. I mean, it's a name. It's a former champion if that's who you're referring to, but ain't nobody trying to see that damn fight unless you go bring it to Fresno and give away 4,000 tickets at Burger King. You know, ain't nobody trying to see that fight. We will in a second. Let me see. Did I get everything I wanted to get to? All right, I got one more thing. I want to get through with this all these cards yesterday, and then we'll go ahead and I'll get to all your guys' questions that had nothing to do with yesterday, or I do have something to do with yesterday. But thank you guys for your feedback and your questions. Smash the like button. It's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire, live from Japan. Just walking and talking, just chilling, enjoying it's now Monday over here, because for those of you who don't know, Japan is like 14 hours ahead of the U.S. So here it's already like December the 9th. So I'm getting my December the 9th start. I know it's December the 8th in the States. So shout out to you guys, wherever you're at watching in the world. And drop that in the comments. Drop down where you guys are watching from in the comments down below. But I wanted to touch on Mark Castro and Jaleel Hackett losing. Now, I'm going full disclaimer. I didn't watch either of their fights. I've only seen highlights. I've only seen clips. I've only seen bits and pieces of each of their fights. So I'm not going to get into like the whole, like, did Jaleel Hackett get robbed, or did Mark Castro maybe get robbed, or whatever the case may be. The greater point I want to make about this is the fact that I just think that in boxing these days, especially like our American prospects, American boxing prospects are not what they used to be. They're not. Like, as a whole, they're not. We need to do better in the States, because Jaleel Hackett and Mark Castro, if they were truly as good as advertised, and remember, they both been hyped up a lot. I mean, Jaleel Hackett was hyped up because he was in the gym with Tank and all these guys in the DMV area. Mark Castro beat all these guys in the amateurs. Remember, guys, Eddie Hearn had Keyshawn Davis at one point. Eddie Hearn had Keyshawn Davis for his first 2 pro fights. And then I guess something happened with the contract. Maybe it was a short-term contract. Maybe they never formally had a contract. He was just fighting on the show, so they do it. And then Top Rank signed him. And the reason why I feel Eddie Hearn didn't re-sign Keyshawn Davis when he should have, because Keyshawn Davis was a top talent, just like Mark Castro was coming up amateurs. But the reason I feel he didn't is because he picked Mark Castro over Keyshawn Davis. That's what I think. And there was a lot of chatter yesterday on Twitter about Matchroom Boxing's matchmaking, or lack thereof, because a lot of the guys have been getting beat this year. A lot of the guys have been getting losses. A lot of the prospects have been taking losses, and it's called into question the quality of the matchmaking from Kevin Rooney Jr. Even Julian Williams, the former 154 champion, said that Matchroom should fire their matchmaker because their prospects keep losing. Now, I definitely understand why people say that, because it does seem like Matchroom fighters get their ass whooped before they're supposed to against guys they shouldn't be losing against. But the reality is this: when it comes to, I'll put my phone here and just chill. The reality is this: when it comes to boxing, you could have the best matchmakers in the world, you could have the best management, all that stuff. You could have the best manager, but the reality is, the fighters at the end of the day still have to be good enough to win the fights. So you can get Jaleel Hackett, some random Puerto Rican guy, and you can get Mark Castro, some random Argentinian guy, and guess what? They still have to beat those guys. And in my opinion, because I know the main fight, people say that Jaleel Hackett got robbed, and maybe he did. I didn't watch the fight. Maybe he did get robbed. You guys tell me. But whether he got robbed or not is not what I'm here to argue. My thing is, if Jaleel Hackett was as good as advertised, why are you even having a tough fight against this caliber opponent. You should be breezing through these kind of opponents. Like prospects back in the day, like not even back in the day. I'm just gonna say 9-10 years ago. They would like I use Felix Verdejo as an example, right? Felix Verdejo, when he was fighting guys at the Jaleel Hackett level, like the guy, that Puerto Rican guy he fought, he was beating the shit out of those dudes. It wasn't until Verdejo maybe fought some fringe contenders like a William Silva, a guy who was like a top 30-ish guy, then he struggled. But like this random Puerto Rican guy that Jaleel lost to, a guy like Felix Verdejo, back like almost 10 years ago, beat the shit out that caliber opponent. Just being honest. And now he did have some terrible fights against cans, you know, for lack of a better term. But I'm just saying, like, I just think prospects these days are not, they're not what they used to be. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on in boxing, but they're just not what they used to be. The fact that Mark Castro and Jaleel Hackett even so much has struggled with this kind of opponent, these are kind of opponents, it kind of already validates what I already thought about both of them. I was never really high on Jaleel Hackett. I really didn't even know shit about Jaleel Hackett until he fought Pete Dobson. And I watched the Pete Dobson fight. I know Pete Dobson well. Pete Dobson, by the time he fought Jaleel Hackett, had one foot out of boxing. You know, Pete Dobson was going to the club, you know, fucking bitches in Miami and shit like that. He wasn't trying to really give his best put his best foot forward in boxing. He'd been out of shape for the longest time. Pete Dobson ain't been in shape for boxing in about like 2 years. If you want to be honest, if I could be honest about Pete, I love Pete. That's my guy. Always got time with Pete Dobson, but he ain't been in shape since he fought Jose Miguel Borrego in 2022, and that's the truth. He wasn't even really in shape for the Conor Benn fight because he had been bullshitting around. So even in that fight, with the very, 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 very compromised Pistol Pete Dobson, the handful of times Pete Dobson could even put any punches together, I saw Jaleel Hackett having problems. So I knew anybody who was a bit more prepared and strong could beat this guy, and it's not surprising to me. And I'm not saying that to put Jaleel Hackett down. I'm just saying that I never saw an otherworldly talent with Jaleel. Like everybody was, I know so many people in boxing personally that would tell me how great Jaleel Hackett was. I didn't see it. Now, does it mean that this is a death sentence? Does it mean that Jaleel Hackett and Mark Castro can't come back and revive their careers and become world champions and carve out a great place in the sport for themselves? No. A loss, not a death sentence. So I wish the brother Jaleel Hackett the best. I wish Mark Castro the best. They're just not good enough right now. But maybe they come back better in the future. I just think, you know, there's a fine line, right? Boxing fans complain when promoters don't put their prospects in tough fights. And then when the prospects start getting their ass kicked, they start saying the matchmaking needs to get fired and the promoters don't know what they're doing. So I just think when it comes to this discussion of fighter development and prospects, you're never going to have a way to satisfy everyone. Like, because when the prospect is put in tough and looks bad but wins, they say he got exposed and he wasn't that good to begin with. If the prospect gets his ass whooped, they say he's trash. If the prospect is looking great and doing what he's supposed to do, then they say, well, he ain't fighting nobody. So you're never going to really please everybody until the prospect shows that he can do it on the championship level. So for every Mark Castro, Arthur Jones III, and all these guys from Matchroom, Khalil Cole, that have been getting waxed and proving that they're not good enough, there is a Diego Pacheco. There is a Richardson Hitchins, you know. There is a Raymond Ford. There are guys that have come through with Eddie Hearn and become champions and call that a place for themselves. So I just think whether it's Top Rank or whether it's Matchroom, it comes down to the fighters. The fighters have to be good enough to win the fights. Look at Top Rank, right? Top Rank, and by the way, guys, I'm gonna get to the comments in a second. Just let me cook right now. I'm cooking right now. Look at Top Rank. Top Rank is renowned for having the best matchmakers in the world. They're so renowned for their matchmaking that it's almost too good. They're too good at picking fights. And people say, well, people sometimes downplay fighters because they have top rank matchmaking because they're too good at the job. They're too good at picking the right fights at the right time. But look at them, right? Even the great Top Rank, even the great Brad Goodman and Bruce Champion, the best matchmakers in the business, even they matched Allen and Kid Kansas Garcia with what looked on paper like a straight can. Some random guy from Spain who's had like 15 or 20 fights of Harmony. It was dude had like one knockout his entire career. Straight like I'm not trying to put the guy down, but on paper he was a made to order opponent and looked like a can. And what happened? What happened in that fight? Alan Garcia got knocked the hell out by a guy with one knockout in like 15 to 20 fights, because the reality is, as good as the top-ranked matchmakers are, Alan Garcia just is not good enough, and he has to get better. So that's the reality of matchmakers and promotional companies all across boxing. PBC, Matchroom, Golden Boy, all of them. That's the reality they're all gonna deal with. So that's what I'll say on that about Mark Castro and Jaleel Hackett. I don't really care if Jaleel Hackett got robbed. He shouldn't even be in no competitive fight with a guy like that if he's really like that. So the fact that he was competitive with a guy who's really like that means he ain't really like that. That's just reality. And the same goes probably even double for Mark Castro, because he had more hype than Jaleel Hackett did. But shout out to everybody here. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable, True School Sports Empire. Get your comments in. Definitely go ahead and subscribe. Definitely super chat. All that good stuff. It's good to be here. It's good to be seen. Let me get to your guys' questions now, because we're almost an hour in. I got all my talking points off. So let me talk to the people. Is 126 the most stacked division in boxing right now? I definitely think so. I think it's between 126 and 154. But I'll go with 126. I'll go with featherweight, because even in this weight class, even the guys with that you never heard of, like for example, like guys like Mirko Quayle, guys like Jong Song Kyung, guys like Mikito Nakano, Kyosuke Matsumoto. I mean, the guys that those four names, odds are the 32 of you guys watching right now don't even know who the hell those guys are for the most part. All those guys can fight. All those guys are good. You know, Jong Seong Kong from Korea, Jung Seong Kang from Korea, really good counterpuncher. You got Matsumoto, the Japanese champion, really just sharp punches down the middle, physically strong. You got Makita Nakata with a dynamite left hand, big time puncher from Japan. Everyone in this weight class, I'm talking about like Mirko Quayle from Argentina, one of the best in my opinion right now. Even though he's not a champion, I already look at Mirko Quayle as one of the best featherweights in boxing. I think he will, without, like, I don't say this for many fighters, I think he will be a champion. I think he's going to win a world title. I don't know when, but he will win a world title. You know, so much talent at featherweight, so much competition at featherweight. It's definitely the most loaded. Anybody can get beat on any given night. You still got good veterans like Tomoki Kameda hanging around. I mean, it is a loaded weight class. So for my money, yes. And I think if you just look at 2024 in boxing this year, look at how many great fights this division has delivered us in this calendar year, and you'll get your answer there. I didn't know Mark Castro lost. I wasn't high. I was never high. Me neither. I wasn't high on Mark Castro. But a lot of people were. A lot of promoters were rushing to get this kid's signature. Matchroom wanted to sign him. Matchroom did sign him. I know Top Rank wanted to sign him. A lot of people wanted to sign Mark Castro. He was a highly touted prospect because he had done a lot in the amateurs. But again, like I told this one coach recently that I got into an argument with, amateur success doesn't equal pro success. It's a whole different sport. And anybody who doesn't come into professional boxing with that understanding is doomed to fail. You know? The fact that the fight was in Puerto Rico, the hometown of Hackett's opponent, did not help for him. No. But again, that's why I don't know what his management situation is, Jaleel Hackett, but that's why you have a team. That's why you have people around you that look at these things and say yes or say no. Apparently, you don't have that. You don't have good people looking after him because you don't do that. Let me see. So hand history of all comes with his normal boxing is fixed comments, which I always appreciate because I do think sometimes boxing is more fixed than fans realize. But he says, BT, hear me out. Paul laid down against Hitchens for Hearn. So Hearn could make Paul versus Catterall and Hitchens versus Teo. Both fighters are with Matchroom. This way, Hearn kills two birds with one stone. Both are bigger fights. But see, and I see your point, but I don't fully agree with it because Paul, I mean, they still technically can do Paul versus Kambosos regardless, but Paul versus Kambosos with the world title is a much bigger fight. So I think it's counterproductive, in my opinion. But yeah, Paul versus Catterall is a good fight. Catterall is always going to be a hard guy to match with, to get fights for because he doesn't he's not like He's a southpaw. He's really good. He's hard to beat. Yeah, maybe you're right. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. 130 is stacked as well. There are new additions like Raymond Ford. It's. I wouldn't say it's stacked just yet. It's getting there. It's getting good. It's not stacked just yet, but it's getting there. I think Raymond Ford is a good addition to the weight class. But it's definitely it's an improving weight class. I'm not gonna say it's stacked just yet. Like to me, when I think of stacked, I'm talking about when the division is so good, like every champion is good, the top 5 is real strong, and then even the guys that you never heard of, like if you were to go in the weight class and start like let's say looking up highlights and watching fights with the guys you never heard of in the rankings, even those guys are like really really good. I can't really say that for 130, but I can definitely say that for 126. It looks like they're just gonna make the Majimov versus Virgil fight. I don't want to accuse Majimov of faking injury, but what happened to all that balls down to your knees? Oh, Majimov is active and is fighting kill. Yeah, I mean, look, I personally think that it's not. I think the bronchitis thing is bullshit. I don't think Majimov got bronchitis. I think they came to the realization that Boachuk fighting a pissed off and inspired Boachuk was gonna get this guy lumped up and hurt enough to put the Virgil fight in doubt and compromise him. So they're not taking the chances. That's what I think. So Paulie was right when he said American boxers were on the downtrend. Yeah, he was 1,000% right, and I agree with him. Like, obviously I'm American. I love my country. I would like to see our American fighters do better in the Olympics and in the pros, of course. But I love America so much, and I love American boxing so much that I tell the truth about American boxing. Yeah, Paulie was right. American boxing's been on a downward spiral for about a good 10 to 20 years now. And I think a lot of that, part of it is, I think, lack of investment in the amateur program. I think the other part of it, too, is just the culture. I think American fighters, not all, but most, a lot of them tend to be, like, real pampered coming up. That's just the truth. I want to see Komatov versus Espinoza. That's a good fight. I mean, look, Odebek Komatov, to me, on his day, on his best day, which to me, the Raymond Ford fight was not his best day. That was like a 60% Komatov, in my opinion. I've seen him spar in the gym so many rounds. I know what the best Komatov looks like. Nobody can tell me otherwise. He wasn't even fighting like Odebek in that fight, and he was still outboxing Raymond Ford pretty well. So I think if he's at his best, I think I give him a chance against anybody. But my question with Komatov would be, number one, can he make 126 healthily? And number two, what's that knee coming like? I think it might be better off for Odebek just to go to 130. I think him at 130, not being as drained, because I know for a fact, Odebek cuts hella weight to make 126. I think him at 130 would be a lot better, and there'd be some better fights there. And if look, let me play. Let me have some wishful thinking. If Odebek were to go at 130, and let's say get into a contention, or maybe he get a title or Raymond Ford get a title, boom! All of a sudden you got Raymond Ford bigger and stronger at 130 versus Odebek Komatov, bigger, stronger, more rehydrated at 130, and they can do a rematch. Because for me personally, Komatov versus Ford is my 2024 fight of the year, and I love to see it again. How are the excuses? I'm saying I never took away from Ford winning that fight. Ford beat him fair and square. I'm just saying I don't think Odebek was. I think just like Ford had the same excuse. I think he was drained just like Ford was drained. They're both drained. All I'm saying is I want to see it at 30. I think Inoue will cook at 130. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm waiting for Inoue to go to featherweight. We're not gonna get that at 2025 because reports have been coming out here in Japan since I've been in the country, because I do read the Japanese boxing news every time. Yeah, they're gonna keep him at 122 for 2025 because their main plan, their end goal, is to get to the Junta Nakatani fight. So they want to fight the way it's looking. And somebody asked me earlier, what was the they wanted me to discuss the Inoue like fight plan. So the way it's looking, he's got Goodman on Christmas to end this year. If he handles that, they're talking about doing Alan Picasso in the USA, which Alan Picasso is not like a fighter I really class that highly. Like he's game, he's tough, he's gonna make for an exciting fight, but he's gonna get beat. Like he's gonna get beat. I've seen him fight like 3 times. Wasn't impressed, but he's a high volume fighter. He's gonna come to fight. In a way, should get a knockout, and it should be an exciting fight. It'll deliver what the result they're looking for, more than likely. Then he's probably gonna give Merjan his unjust title shot in Saudi. Then he's gonna fight probably Junto late in 2025. That's the roadmap for the from the Hashi promotions and Top Rank. So we'll see. But I'm not. I mean, we can't even talk about Inoue at 30 because he's not moving up to one featherweight for at least another 18 months at the earliest. At the earliest, he's going up to featherweight in 18 months. So we better just get accustomed to seeing him at 122 and not even talk about him at 130 or featherweight because they've already went ahead and said what they're going to do. He says, don't argue excuses. Huh? Man, stop it. He lost. I'm not saying he lost. All I'm saying is I just know Orderbeck is better than he showed that night. And I think he was a little compromised. And that's not that has nothing to do with Raymond Ford, and that's not an excuse. Raymond Ford was compromised too. Raymond Ford was fucking weight trained. He said it after the fight. So all I'm saying is at 130, I feel like they'll both be rehydrated and it'll be a really good fight. That's all I'm saying. Raymond Ford beat him fair and square. I'm taking nothing from Raymond Ford. Part of it too, this is not an excuse, but part of it too is Orderbeck is dumb. It was very retarded to fire Timur Ibragimov going into the biggest fight of your career. He boxed a little differently under Timur than he did with was it Joel Diaz, whatever. So I think Orderbeck put his foot in his own ass. Yeah, somebody asked me what happened with Orderbeck. I talked to him a couple of times on Instagram since the Raymond Ford fight. He had to do a little stint in the Uzbek military for a little bit, and then he had to get surgery after that. And then he's just been now recently getting back in the gym, from what I can see. So I don't know what the plans are for him. I'm not even sure if he's still signed with Top Rank. So maybe those are questions I gotta ask him direct, but I don't know. Nakatani would be more comfortable at 126, 130 than Inoue. He has the height and frame. Inoue's limit is probably at 126, and that's what I think. But I think for Inoue's best chance to beat Junto, it would be at 122 because he's still got a major gap in the championship experience above Junto, and I think that Junto will fill out better at 26 and 30, like you said. So 22 gives Inoue the best. I think Junto Nakatani is still a very dangerous fight for Inoue. Everybody just thinks that Inoue's gonna walk through him. I don't quite see it that way. Is Timur related to Sultan Ibragimov? No, he's not. They just have the same last name, but no, he's not. Nakatani at 126. I think he might do well there. I think he would do great there. I think Junto is a great fighter. It's gonna take. Listen, man. It's only a handful of fighters around these weights that I think would have a chance to beat Junto. The same way I think it's only a handful of fighters around these weights that I think have a chance to beat Inoue. It's not a lot. So yeah, I think in the future featherweight will be in the future, but not right now. I think Junto, like everyone's talking about Junto fighting Inoue. And that's all well and good, but we need to see Junto like really solidify himself as the guy at bantamweight, and especially because all the other guys at bantamweight are from Japan. So you can't be having all this Japanese smoke just lying around, and you not fighting them. You're not unifying with nobody. You got to go ahead and you got to go fight those guys and prove that you're truly the best guy in the division. So I want to see Junto against Seiya Susumi. That's the fight I'm campaigning for. Susumi, as you guys saw in the interview on True School Sports, that he's been saying that he wants that fight. They have history. They spar each other. They know each other, so why not? Merjan probably doesn't deserve that fight, but stylistically, that would be a fun fight. Inoue would get a highlight reel in Saudi. I mean, I would like it just because I don't like Merjan, and I wouldn't mind Inoue punching up on Merjan, but I don't want Merjan with the satisfaction of getting an Inoue fight until, of course, he proves that. He earned the fight. Do I think Navarrete makes Oshaki versus Foster? I think Foster beats him and could even stop Navarrete. The only way I think they don't do that fight is either if they do him versus Charlie Suarez. If they do Navarrete versus Charlie Suarez, I can see that being a fight. And if not that fight, then maybe, and this is maybe a bit of an outside chance, but with all this talk about Espinoza going to 130, if Espinoza is to go to 130 in 2025, then Espinoza versus Navarrete, I think, would be a mega fight for the Mexicans. So those are the only two fights I really see getting in the way of a Foster fight. I think the Foster fight should be priority because they got to start unifying the division. There's talks of Hitchens versus Cambosos at 140, IBF in New York, with Eddie Hearn verbally confirming. What are your thoughts? Eddie Hearn can't verbally confirm nothing because Eddie Hearn doesn't represent Teofimo Lopez. Top Rank is still representative of Teofimo Lopez, and until you get Bob Arum and Top Rank confirming it, you should not believe anything Eddie Hearn is saying. But as far as that fight, that's a good fight. I touched on it earlier in the live. I think if Teofimo Lopez is trying to fight Devin Haney, I think the Hitchens fight would be a really good fight because Hitchens has a lot of similarities to Devin Haney's style, and I think that fight would sell out the theater at Madison Square Garden. That fight could sell 5, 6, 7,000 tickets. How much capacity is at the theater? They could definitely sell it out because Teo has a fan base in New York. Hitchens has a fan base in New York. That's a good local unification fight, even though Teofimo Lopez isn't like a quote-unquote true New Yorker, but he says he is. Ha! Teo versus Hitchens and Teo versus Boots. I would go with Hitchens, actually, against Teo. I think Hitchens would beat Teo, honestly. And then I'll go with Boots and Teo aren't going to fight. So, I mean, I'm not even sure what's the point of doing that fight. But, I mean, I think Boots should beat Teo. He's bigger and stronger. Why don't I like MJ? Everyone asks me why I don't like MJ. My question would be, why do people like MJ? Like, I don't think he's ever looked particularly great in any of his fights apart from maybe... Who was that guy he fought? Ronnie Rios? Maybe that fight when he knocked him out. Other than that fight, he never really looked that great, even when he won the title. He ducked Stephen Fulton for Undisputed. He ducked Danny Roman rematch. And then he thought he was being smart fighting Marlon Tapales, and then lost to Marlon Tapales. Like, I just don't like the way he's moved in his career. Just to put it really simple, I don't like the way he's moved in his career. Robert Sanchez, my main man out there in Austin, Texas. I got to go back to Texas, man. It's been like, what? Already going on. It's been 2 years, going on 3 years since I've been to Texas. Time's just flying by. I can't believe it's already been almost 3 years since I've been in Texas. It seemed like in like 2021, 2022, 2020, I was going to Texas like every other month. But my favorite meal to eat out here in Japan, as far as like actual Japanese food, like not burgers or anything like that, but like actual Japanese food, my favorite meal is I like udon noodles. Udon noodles is my favorite, and then I like this place called Moe's Burger. It's like a burger chain here in Japan. Go to Moe's Burger and get the either the cheeseburger or I think it's called the Tarashiki burger with the Hokkaido cheese. Probably go with that. And a chicken katsu. Go with that one too. Hitchens would wash Cambosos. I think so. He beat him easy. Shout out to all 41 of you here. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. It's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Let me see where we're at. We're live in Japan, just chilling, enjoying our Monday, before we get started on our work. Talking to the boxing fans, trying to make sense of what happened yesterday, trying to make sense of Hitchens and Espinoza and Navarrete. Oh, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I did read the news. So Ryan Ruzicki had a fight for the cruiserweight title yesterday, and I'm a big fan of Ryan Ruzicki. It was the rematch with Yamil Peralta. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I haven't had a chance to even watch the highlights, but I've just been hearing that Ryan Ruzicki was robbed, that they did Ryan Ruzicki dirty against Yamil Peralta, and it was ruled a draw. he probably should be champion. So, I have to go back and watch it to have my own opinion. But yeah, that's real interesting. I misread your question. Well, okay, what did I misread? You said, what did you say? You said talks of Hitchens, Cambosas. Cambosas. Oh yeah, that's a fight that I thought you said Teo. Um, Cambosa, yeah, he'll watch Cambosa. That's an easy fight for Hitchens. Cambosa is good. He's a name. He's gonna talk shit. It's gonna be a fun build up. What? Hitchens will beat him. Hitchens is too fundamentally sound. If Liam, listen, I like George, but Liam Paro is a more skilled fighter than George Kambosos Jr. Liam Paro can do a little more than George Kambosos. I think he's more of an adaptable fighter than George. If Liam Paro couldn't make the adjustment to get past Hitchens' straight right hand and his jab, George ain't making that adjustment. I'm telling you that right now. Paro's got a much better base, like when his stance, like he's not as front foot dominant, so like he's not gonna fall over in the shots as much as George. George is gonna literally be falling over into shots and be running in the right hands more than Liam. So good fight. That will definitely sell well. That'll definitely be a good promotion, good fun build up. But Hitchens definitely wins that one. I hear Japanese women like Americans. Have you had any luck out there? I've had some luck. I've had some luck out here. Yeah. Japanese women, I can confirm. That Japanese women do love Americans. It is very easy. And if you know, like me, I don't know like a ton of Japanese. I'm starting to pick up on some Japanese phrases that I've been learning recently. But like if you know a little Japanese and you're American and you confident, oh man, the world is your oyster in Japan. But yeah. To answer your question, just simply yes. But all accounts, Rozicki should have won the fight, and I know the first fight was very controversial, so I gotta watch the second fight. How does Hitchens perform against the likes of Puello, Rayo, Matias, and Ernesto Mercado? Those are all really good fights. I think the toughest out of those fights, stylistically for him, would be in order from one to four. The toughest, in my opinion, would be. I'll go with. I actually think Alberto Puello is the toughest fight out of the four for him, only because I think Puello can do to Hitchens what Hitchens does to other fighters. Like Hitchens likes to slow the pace down and box and fight his fight. He don't really fight too much outside of himself. I think Puello can do the same thing. So that might be able to offset what Hitchens can do a little bit. I think Puello is the toughest out of that bunch. I think Matias would be the second toughest out of that bunch because Hitchens didn't want to fight him, so he knows it's tough. And then I think Mercado and Rao could probably be tied for third. I think they're both going to be overly aggressive and give Hitchens a lot of counterpunch opportunities. So they both got to get past his jab, and they both kind of have like similar tendencies. Shout out to my guy Hyro. Hyro, good to see you. I'm glad you finally caught me on the live. Make sure you add them comments that you them crazy comments you like to always put in the chat. He says, BT, out of the current world champions, who do you think is my favorite right now? Hyro's favorite champion in boxing, probably. I'm gonna say David Benavidez. Well, he's not a champion right now, so no. This is a trick question. Sego Uriakui? Is it Sego Uriakui or I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. I'll say Sego Uriakui because you can't shut up about him the last couple times I talked to you, so I'll go with him. Make Devin Haney fight Liam Paro for a mandatory title shot. I ain't mad at that. They're sparring partners, so that should give him some confidence. Does Lamont Roach still get to keep the WBA super featherweight belt? I think yes. For the time being, until we get the outcome of what happens in the Tank fight, he gets to keep his belt. Yeah. But yeah, like I don't even want. Like, I'm trying not to talk too much about Lamar Roach versus Tank because I don't really have too many like good things to say about it. I don't think it's a competitive fight. It's a straight cash grab. Does nothing to prove how great Tank is, and it does nothing other than line Lamar Roach's pocket. So I mean, good for Lamar Roach, good for Tank, but not really great for the sport of boxing. Oh, of course. How could I forget? Laura, your boy Laura, the most. I don't know why you have this obsession with Laura, but you do love Laura, so it's believable. Shout out to Laura. Andy Hiroka will whoop Hitchens. Andy Hiroka's trying to fight Ryo, but I mean I think Hitchens versus Andy Hiroka would be a good fight. Andy Hiroka right now, Andy Hiroka, I think he's got a tall, rangy frame, so he could actually box Hitchens from the outside, but he's got the ability to mix it up at mid range and throw punches that really have bad intentions. So that'd be a tricky fight for Hitchens. I wouldn't mind that fight in the future, but I don't think that's a fight that when you look at the landscape, he's not like right there for a title shot with Hitchens. I don't think he is, at least, and he's not going that route. He's trying to go the route of fighting Ryo, and I think that Andy Hiroka isn't a fight that like Hitchens himself or his manager Keith Conley's gonna seek out anyway. Who is the weakest champion in boxing right now? That's a good question. The weakest champion in boxing right now. Huh. I'm gonna say either. Who is the weakest champion? I'll go with either Anthony Kakachi, or I will go with one of the other champions at 118, like Ryosuke Nishida or Yoshiki Takai. One of those three. I'll go one of those three. Who do you think Top Rank will match up Carrington for in a title eliminator shot? They may not have to do that. If Espinoza vacates the title, Hitchens may just get the fight for it outright as a vacant title. So he may not have to go through all that. But I don't know. I have to see the rankings. I don't have the rankings in front of me. Do you think they'll try to put other Japanese guys on the Inoue undercard? If they do, I think Hiroka and Jin Sasaki should be there. I think Jin Sasaki is probably the guy they should put on the card the most in America would be Jin Sasaki. Sasaki has a fight coming up here in Japan on Christmas on the Inoue card, so they're on the same timeline. And that's a guy that he's already made it very known on social media that he would like to fight guys like Jerron Ennis. Like he's not ducking those smoker boots at 47. So since Boots don't want to fight Virgil 54, you got somebody at 47 that wants to fight you. And guess what? It makes perfect sense because the way I see it, Jerron Ennis has to avenge Stephen Fulton's loss to Inoue. Philadelphia got to avenge their loss to Japan. Stephen Fulton came here to Japan and got waxed. So Boots needs to avenge his friend's loss and fight another Japanese guy. So Philadelphia versus Japan at welter, make it happen. Oh, William Skoll. How could I forget William Skoll? Yes, David, you're right. He's the most forgettable champion in boxing. So William Skoll is definitely the weakest champion. Thank you for the reminder. Noel McCallion isn't the champion anymore. I think he's the champion in recess. But if he's still the champion, then I guess him. I think Fulton is in trouble in the rematch with Figueroa, and I'm a Fulton fan. I think so too. I think Figueroa is going to be a lot more stronger at 126, and we saw how hard at the time Stephen Fulton had handling the punches and physical strength and volume of Figueroa at 122. So I think it's going to be difficult. I wonder what the odds are. Does anybody know what the odds are? Is Fulton the underdog that fight? I really want Stephen Fulton to win. I'm rooting for him because I want him to fight Angelo in a rematch. I want the Angelo Stephen Fulton unification rematch, but that can't happen if Figueroa goes in there and beats up Stephen Fulton. Is Subaru Murata next up? Next up to do what? I mean, Subaru Murata is a good fighter. He's a strong fighter, but I personally, and this is my opinion, and I like Subaru. I know Subaru. We talk on Instagram from time to time, but I think Subaru Murata, if he don't tighten up his defense, is a loss waiting to happen. He is a loss waiting to happen. He's been dropped recently. He's been showing lack of defense. I think Tekken Promotions and Mr. Honda and all them and Top Rank, they've been picking the right opponents, but they got to be real careful with Subaru because if they pick the wrong fighter, he's gonna get chopped up and lose. It almost happened. Andy Hiroka made Jin Sasaki move out of 140. That fight was brutal for Jin. He didn't make Jin move out of 140. Jin made himself move out of 140 because Jin Sasaki couldn't make 140. He missed, if I'm not mistaken, he missed weight going into that fight. Then he got his ass whooped by Hiroka. But I mean, I guess it could be interpreted that way. I just think that'd be a good fight for the future. The rematch between Hiroka and Sasaki could be a big fight here in Japan down the line at welterweight. Do I think Carlos Castro got robbed against Stephen Folan? No, I don't. I thought Stephen Folan beat Carlos Castro legitimately. I think it was a tough fight. I think it was a close fight. I think Castro let his foot off the gas in the back half of the fight, and Folan, after the knockdown, made the necessary adjustments and got better as the fight went along. I thought he won. I think Angelo Leo and Figueroa would defeat Bruce Carrington. I think right now you're right. I think Bruce Carrington needs to make some adjustments and fine-tune some things in his style. Those guys would, I favor both of them against Bruce. Murata would be a good inclusion for the Inoue undercard. He's been on top-ranked shows. Yeah, I think Murata should be like probably one of the top Japanese fighters. Yeah, Murata and Sasaki. They both. Sasaki fights on Inoue cards almost every time. And then Murata did like damn near half his career in America, so that makes a lot of sense. Do I see Figueroa Fulton being similar to Sonny Edwards and Galal Yafai? Fulton and Edwards are both boxers with little power. Yeah, it could be something very similar to that. And if not those fights, I can see it being similar, like maybe like Seiya Susumi versus Takuma Inoue. You know, the high volume pressure fighter, slowly but surely overwhelming the more technically sound fighter and counterpuncher. Why am I seeing odds for Ismail Diaz versus Boachuk? Because that's who he's fighting. He's fighting him next. That's the next fight for Boachuk, and that's who he's gonna be fighting next. Shit, I'm hungry, guys. Let's go to 7-Eleven. I'm going to 7-Eleven. Get some food, get some snacks. But y'all get your comments. I'm gonna go to 7-Eleven right quick and grab something because I'm getting a little hungry talking to you guys. Normally I wait till after these lives are done, but I can't wait. I gotta go eat. So go ahead and go on 7-Eleven. But you can. Could we see Tsutsumi and Inoue? No, I don't think so. I think Tsutsumi is going to. I know he's fighting on the card with Ioka. He's fighting on the Ioka card. So look for that fight next with him and Rene Alvarado. Yeah, he's fighting Rene Alvarado. So that'll be his next fight. I don't think he'll fight on the Inoue card because even though he sparred Inoue, he's not really a guy that fights on Inoue cards. Like, it's weird. Like, Tsutsumy's probably sparred Inoue as much as anybody in Japan, but doesn't really fight on Inoue cards. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to find something. Can't really talk too loud in the store. They start crashing out on you over here. And I don't want to be labeled as like a stupid American. So, okay. I'm looking for something like really specific, but I can't find it. So let me get out of here. Let me go find a supermarket. All right. That turkey card in December isn't that big. It isn't big at all. It's a good card. I definitely think it's Turkey's best card to date, but and I want to drive this point home to the boxing fans because a lot of people are going to see this as hating, but it's not hating. It's the truth. That fight being on the zone and being in Saudi isn't really going to do much to grow boxing. And it's on pay-per-view too, so you're putting it behind a paywall. Tank Davis, if you guys just go look at the numbers like on social media for like anything that is posted about anything regarding that Riyadh season card, and then go look at the numbers for anything Gervonta Davis related with him fighting Lamont Roach. It's a no-brainer. Lamont Roach with Tank Davis is going to outsell and outperform Riyadh season by a lot, and people ain't gonna like that. But I'm letting y'all know in advance. That's going to be a future True School Sports video. Gervonta Davis outsells Turkey Al Sheik fighting Lamont Roach. So take all that information and do with it what you want. Eddie Hearn will make Hitchens versus Matias next. Matias will get his belt back. Now that would be something. That would be something. That would be something. I just want to see the fight happen. I don't care who wins. I just think for Hitchens openly avoiding the fight, he needs to go make that one right. Hand History says, "What the fuck? Imagine I pulled out. When did this happen?" I'm gonna say it happened yesterday or the day before. It was pretty recent. It's not surprising. It almost sounded too crazy. Like there was no way he was gonna fight Chuck and Virgil that should have a span. No way. No way, no how. Sasaki next fight is fighting a dude with 14 losses. Stop it. Stop the boots clock. If he was real, they would put him in with somebody with a better record. Yeah, maybe you're right, but I don't even have the rankings in front of me. I guarantee you, he's in the top 10 of the IBF. And I know he's ranked in most of, if not all, the sanctioning bodies, and it's an exciting fight. So my thing is, if Boots isn't going to get big fights, if Boots can't we know Boots ain't fighting Virgil. That's already been cemented. Okay, he's not, at least not anytime soon. He wants to stay at 147. Okay, Barrios is not going to fight him. There's a video on this channel of me talking to Bob Santos, who trains Mario Barrios, standing next to Bozianis, saying that they would need $100 million to fight Boots and that it's a tough fight. He was being sarcastic, but he was basically saying that it would take a lot of money to get Mario Barrios in the ring. Barrios is talking about fighting Manny Pacquiao and other kinds of guys. So just get Barrios out the equation. That fight's not happening. Brian Norman Jr. is probably his best chance, but Brian Norman Jr. and his dad are on some bullshit too. So they're not, that fight may happen in the future, but that's not happening anytime soon. So if he can't get in the unification fight and he's gonna stay at 147, it's just the honest truth. There's not many more exciting matchups at 147 for him than Jin Suzuki. And my thing is this: who gives a damn if Jin Suzuki's fighting a guy with 14 losses? He's one of the highest ranked contenders. He's from Japan. You have Japan versus Philadelphia. Shit, make it happen. If Boots can't be in a big fight and can't be in a unification fight, at least put him in an exciting fight. Don't put him in a Karen fight or like that. Put him in an exciting fight. Jin Suzuki and Boots is an exciting fight. It's the best of the available options since we can't get the big fights or the unification fights. Because I'm telling you right now, I'll save you the time in advance. Boots is not gonna get no unification fight. Hayato needs to work to gain back our respect as Japanese fans with the weight stuff. Yeah, I know it's a big deal here. You were suspended for 6 months. I thought it was a year, but I was informed it was 6 months. So I'm sure if he makes weight at 130 and puts on great performances and becomes champions, all will be forgiven in Japan. Oh, hold on. Why can't American promoters be similar to Abiba that airs live boxing matches with ads in Japan? There would be no need to illegally stream it. It's just a different. I don't want to compare because Japan and the USA are so different. And being here a second time, I really, really understand it on a deep and profound level. That's a question for the promoters. Maybe that's a question I gotta ask to Eddie Hearn or Bob Arum. I saw your video on tension. How do you project him moving forward? Future champ, future multi-champ. I think he's got a great shot to be champion. I think I know he's ranked really highly in the WBA, so maybe I think the fight that they could do with him next year, if Seiya Tsutsumi can't get the Junto unification, Tenshin versus Seiya is a great fight, or Tenshin versus Yoshiki Takai. If he fights Yoshiki Takai or however you say his last name, I think he'll beat him. I think that I'd favor him in that fight. As far as him being a multiple-time world champion, I don't know about all that, but I think he's got a great chance to at least be a champion at 118, where he's at. Matias is still the boogeyman. Yeah, we still gonna call for that Matias fight with Hitchens. Don't think we forgot Richardson. Because people like you would still stream it. T-fan, people would still people stream Pro Box still. They do. Mm. By the way, shout out to everybody here that's rocking with me. We just talking now. We just chilling now. We got through all our talking points. Does Ioka have a real chance of winning? I'm not feeling optimistic at all. I didn't see much from that first fight. I definitely think that what's his name? Puma Martinez is the favorite. His best. I don't think he's gonna knock out Puma. I don't think he's strong enough to knock out Puma at this stage of his career. His best bet is he's gonna have to be very well conditioned to go 12 rounds and be able to counterpunch him. And I think if he's able to counterpunch him early and often in the fight, he could frustrate him and then probably, get him to a decision and get it in Japan. But that's his path. To me, if he's gonna win, that's his path. I don't think he's gonna stop him. But I'm going with Puma that fight. Bro, I need to find. Trying to find me a supermarket over here. Shouldn't be hard. I normally always walk by the supermarket. Let me see. I know this weekend in boxing coming up, we got December 14th. I know is Rocha versus Curiel. Who else? I mean, Rocha Curiel this weekend, and the following week is Inoue. Oh. I almost got ran over just now. Gotta pay attention. My thoughts on Kamel Moulton versus Kamel Moulton weight issues. I just think Kamel Moulton is a young 17 or whatever, 18, 19-year-old kid who's getting a lot of money at a young age, a lot of attention at a young age. And when you're that young and impressionable and, everyone's telling you how great you are, you're going to do some dumb shit. And I just think he has to mature. That's all it is. I hope that he gets better from this, but like 15 pounds is inexcusable. Juan Soto signed with the Mets. Yeah, I heard he was gonna do that. So look, I always say in baseball, because you see the cap. I mean, even though we're trash and we're not gonna do anything for a long, long time because we have a cheap ass owner who doesn't spend any money. I'm good with any team winning in baseball except the Mets. Anybody but the Mets. And if you're a player and you openly choose to go to the Mets, I don't even care if I like you. It's automatic F you for the rest of your career. So that applies to Juan Soto. F Juan Soto. Fuck Juan Soto. But hey, congrats on the money. The Yankees are down bad. How do you go from the Yankees to the Mets? That's a downgrade if I ever heard of one. Yankees to the Mets. Anyway, how would you see a Zotto versus Abataya fight going? It's a good fight. I mean, I favor Jai. I think Zotto is a lot stronger as a cruiserweight than he was as a light heavyweight. And I think this is actually his real weight class. It's a tough fight. I'll go Opataya, but not like extremely confident because Opataya hasn't really been fighting good competition like since he won the title. Like they imagine him real soft. Is it hard for him to get fights? I know he had promotional issues too. I think I would say he wins a decision, like a 116-112 decision. Ryosuke Nishida is fighting soon as well. Hopefully he gets a big fight with one of those other Japanese guys. No power, but tricky dude. Yeah, he's very similar to the other bantamweight in Japan, Katsuma Akisugi. They have similar like styles. Neither one of them can really punch. I want the Mets to call the Marlins about Sandy. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I would want the Mets to call the Marlins about Sandy. Sandy Alcantara. I'm questioning how good he's gonna be coming off of a big old surgery on his arm. So I would actually trade him before he starts pitching like trash. get him on his values somewhat high. Soto getting more than Ohtani is crazy. It is. It really is. But Juan Soto is a great player. I do think Juan Soto is actually underrated. People don't understand how good Juan Soto is at baseball. Like, dude's 26. What is that? 5 or 6 time All-Star. Won a World Series. Won a batting title. Like his career just at 26. You can compare it to any outfielder or like great player in the history of baseball. It holds up pretty well. So it's great for the Mets. The Mets got themselves someone that might legitimately win the World Series. And if Juan Soto wins the Mets a World Series, I'm gonna hate this dude for eternity because I've never seen the Mets in my lifetime win a World Series. I never want to see the Mets win the World Series, and he's gonna push them very close to that. So I guess shout out to the Mets on spending big $765 million. That's crazy. I think Gurriel is gonna beat Rocha. Who you got in that fight? I got Gurriel. Rocha. Gurriel's sharper fighter, the better fighter. The only way I think Rocha beats him if he gets outlasted. Okay, let me go to the supermarket now. I found a supermarket. Let's go get some snacks before we end the live. Let's see, what do we get? What is this? Updates on Andy Hiroka fight next. No, I don't got any updates on that. There's been no talks of who he's fighting next, anything like that. But Andy Hiroka, he's gonna have a big 2025. I think people are now like after what he did to Barroso, people are like giving him a lot more respect these days, which is good to see because Andy Hiroka can fight. Let's see. But guys, look, on that note, I think I'm gonna end the live because I'm gonna go eat and enjoy my food. But just want to say thank you to everybody who stopped by the live and all that stuff, and keep supporting the content on True School Sports. I still got to edit my interview with the WBA champion Seigo Yuriakui, so that'll be out in the coming days. But yeah, take care. God bless. Happy holidays. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just Kip from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.